Okay. Says record. Okay, you can give me that, Nick. To sign. Get comfortable. And this is working. Okay, are we on? Okay. Good morning. This is Jim Lyko for the Veterans History Project at Central Connecticut State University, an archive partner for the Library of Congress. I'm here in Avon, Connecticut on February 23rd, 2008, and I'm interviewing Mr. Nicholas Greci, a World War II veteran of the U.S. Coast Guard. I am pleased and honored to capture his thoughts and remembrances of his time in the U.S. Coast Guard. Okay, Nick, I'd like to begin by asking you to tell us where you were born,
Yep.
and a little bit about your family life and growing up there.
I was born in Hartford, Connecticut, and my father was a farmer and a gardener, and we lived we moved up to West Hartford on Mountain Road, which is now Hunter's Drive, I guess, somewhere around there. And I graduated from Sedgwick Junior High, went to Hall, and that's when war broke out. And I have a good friend we used to play ball with, and he said, Nick, let's go down. And I was going to go join the Navy, and he said, let's try the Coast Guard. But I don't regret joining the Coast Guard.
What was his name, Nick?
I forgot.
Okay.
I forgot. Son of a gun.
No, that happens. All right.
Yeah.
Continue. Yeah.
But I enjoyed and after enjoyed West Hartford. We had a lot of good times there. School time.
Brothers and sisters?
I have two brothers. Yeah, and just about it, I guess. We decided to. We were walking down Pearl Street in Hartford. We just went to a movie, and we heard that they bombed Pearl Harbor, and we knew the war was on, and so we said, "Heck, let's go join before the Army gets us," And so we went down to enlisted in the Coast Guard, and the biggest thrill I got, I guess, was walking down Asylum Avenue. And I think that Coast Guard, Army, and Navy, and I think there's some Army fellas too, they all signed us up. And we walked down Asylum Avenue, and everyone was waving out the windows at us, throwing stuff and come on, go get him, fella, go get him, And that almost brought tears in my eyes,
So you had already enlisted, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Were you in uniform, or
no,
they just knew that you had enlisted?
We were on our way to boot camp.
Okay.
Yeah, down to the railroad station.
Okay.
And that was really quite a thrill. Holy cow, I said, wow.
So did you go right from the enlistment center to the train station?
And then boot camp, yeah.
And where was boot camp?
We went to boot camp in Sheepshead Bay, New York, Brooklyn, New York. And I think I had 5 weeks at boot camp there. And boy, they really put us through the mill. Wow, holy cow. They made us get up early in the morning and marched us, drilled us. And then after 5 weeks, they put us all on a train. And we headed south, and I thought maybe, we didn't know where we were going. So we went down, we headed south, and we got off, and some of us got off at St. Augustine, Florida. And as to my amazement, they're going to put us on beach patrol. I said, holy cow, I don't want beach patrol. So in St. Augustine, Florida, they gave us a horse, and that was our horse. We had to take care of it, And we went out at at dark, and we come in at dawn, and we just walk those beaches, you know.
Wait a minute. What was the horse? Did you ride the horse on the beach?
Yes, we rode them.
No kidding.
Yeah. And we used to have a lot of horse races on the beach. Get together and bet on them, you know. And I had one of the fastest.
Had you had experience riding horses before?
Yes.
Okay.
So anyway, I decided this fellow from Brooklyn, New York, or not Brooklyn, I'm sorry, Boston. He said, "Man, we gotta get it." We kept after him. I want sea duty, you know. So they finally shipped us out, you know. And I think they're glad to get rid of us because we did everything to get off that beach patrol. So I volunteered for overseas duty, and they obliged me. Just a crazy 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
They sent us up to New York and put us on a DE. And holy cow, before we know it, we're on convoy duty, waiting for the convoys, a destroyer escort.
Okay.
And that North Atlantic in March is absolute hell. Oh my God. Oh God. I mean, you go over two swells and under one. And I was sleeping on the bottom deck, being a seaman, you know, and you could hear the bulkhead go in and out as we were hitting these swells, you know. Oh my God, I'm saying Hail Marys. Oh my God. If anything ever happens, you know, we don't stand a chance down here. But that was quite an experience.
And what was your the reason for being on the North Atlantic? Were you
convoy? Convoy escort? Yeah. And we were about 3 days out, and we had an awful lot of sub contacts. You know, we would follow a sub, and we would make sure to keep him down in depth charge, way down 300 feet or so he wouldn't come up and get his sights on get his sights on one of the tankers or transports that we were escorting. And we'd stick with him for a few hours, and then we'd hustle and get back to our convoy. And I remember one time right off of England, about 2 days out of England, this tanker got hit by a sub, you know, torpedoed. And God, that was awful. I mean, they told us if you ever have to go over the side in March, I mean, you're allowed 3 minutes. Yeah. So this sub went up, this tanker went up loaded with oil and stuff, and wow, it was absolutely terrible. You couldn't, it was just dawn, and you couldn't see the guys very often, but nothing was alive. I guess it was all hands, you know. But that was really sickening. Yeah, that really hit our stomach. So we were in Liverpool a while, and then we headed back. We got into Boston. It was awful. God, it was really a thrill seeing the Statue of Liberty, going out and then coming in.
Yeah.
And a lot of us would salute.
Absolutely.
Salute that old statue. So we got into to New York, and about 6 of us had orders to go down to Miami. And we picked up this PC 469, yeah. And it was on dry dock at the time. And they made us scrape barnacles off the hull, you know.
Do you remember the date that you picked up PC 469?
No, I don't. No.
Okay, but it was in Miami.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they brought us down to, we were supposed to run convoys out of Gitmo Bay or Guantanamo Bay to Cologne, Panama. And we picked up convoys from Gitmo, and we brought them down to Panama, and I don't know, there are probably 10 escorts with the convoy going down there, probably more, I don't remember. And then we had 2 or 3 days at port, really raised heck. And up we come again with another convoy up to to Guantanamo Bay, you know. And we did that for about, it must have been a year or so, somewhere around there. Yeah, it was really too bad. I didn't realize that was really good duty. But boy, we really got to know the Latinos down there, and I tell you, we really raised heck down there.
Yeah.
The Marines gave us an awful time. Whenever we went back to ship, boy, they made sure we had nothing on us, you know. But they're doing their duty.
Okay.
We never lost any ships convoying down from Gitmo to Panama. We had an awful lot of subcontacts. I mean, we always had subcontacts, and you'd try to keep them down. I guess one of the subs shot a torpedo at one of the ships, and I guess a swell. When the ship went up, the torpedo went under its bow and just missed it. Yeah. Of course, being a small ship and you're a loaded magazine, I mean, you got all kinds. You just don't stand a chance. Yeah. But then we had orders to go through Panama Canal and up to San Diego.
And what was your duty? What was your?
I was a seaman.
Your rank and your duty. Was.
I was a seaman, just a regular seaman. Yeah, and when I got out in the Pacific, they needed a gunner mate, so I volunteered to be a gunner's mate. You know, and you got to go through schooling, and they teach you, and you work with other guys. When you're out at sea, you come in. After you come in from out at sea, a trip, you've got to rip down your guns because they're full of salt and whatnot, and you got to put them all back together again, and that was our job. So then we went up to San Diego, and they converted us to a radio control ship. We had an awful lot of radio aboard, you know, and they sent us to they sent some of us to amphibious school, and it's self-defense and how to take care of yourself and rip your guns down. And I went through that, I guess it was about a month or so. That was quite a training there. And as I say, we were in San Diego probably, I don't know, probably a month, 2 months. And then we had orders to pick up a convoy and head out to Pearl Harbor. And
Remember the date at that time?
No, I don't.
Okay.
It must have been 44, I guess.
Okay,
or so.
sometime in 44. All right.
So we picked up this convoy and we brought them to Pearl Harbor. And they sent us around to Maui to work with the Marines on invasions. You know. And we practiced with them for, I don't know, about 3 weeks or so. Yeah.
Now, speaking of Pearl Harbor, and you're there and it's 44, I realize it's a couple of years after, but was there still evidence of...
Yes, yeah, you can see it.
Describe that for us? I mean,
we didn't really have too much time to get over into see anything, but we know we were busy working this and everything. But you could see the ships some were flopped over to one side and whatnot, and a lot of civilians were in there working on some of the ships, you know.
So the evidence of the attack
it was there. Yeah. So we worked with the Marines for a while in Maui. Then we picked up a convoy and we headed for Iwo Jima.
Before you get to Iwo Jima, can you tell us about living conditions on PC 469? I mean, the food.
The food was good. Yeah. We got out most of when we got down the Pacific. We were out a while. We got all our supplies out at sea. You know, our fuel and our we got dog biscuits and spam, as we used to call it, and.
From another ship would offload onto you, I see.
Supply ships. We always, one good thing about being a sailor in a board ship, you always had a cup of coffee, you know?
Yeah.
And there was always card games going on down a galley, you know, down. And a lot, and one good thing about that, and I shouldn't really say this, but we have magazines, depth charge magazines. And some of these guys, these Southern guys, they were something else. They're always making hooch, you know. They would steal. I don't know. They would get the alcohol from somewhere, and they would get the grapefruit and whatnot, and they always had something going
Well,
on.
it seems like I read about alcohol
Yeah.
being part of a torpedo.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
that if you could,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
provided the hooch, as
Yeah.
you say. For
But
these
holy
things.
cow, you'd go down in that stuff with ferment, you know.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Some of these guys just drank it. I had one sip of it and I just couldn't take it. But some had mold on it, you know. Oh my God. These guys loved it.
That's how they grew
I
up.
just thought I'd throw that at you anyway.
How about mail from home or writing home? Were you in
We
contact with?
We got mail. We got a mailman that came around. I don't know, probably once every 3 weeks to a month when we were out there. Yeah. And they also had payday. Guys would pay. They had a paymaster that'd come around and pay us. Yeah.
How often did you get paid?
It varies anywhere from a month to 3 weeks, sometimes a week. You know, it depends on where the ship was and where we were. You know.
Do you remember how much your pay was as
Boy, it wasn't very much.
Yeah.
I was a seaman second class at the time, or a gunner's mate second class, and I think I got something like $40 or somewhere around there.
That's a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But boy, we went out and blew that fast. You know, they had always had card games after payday, and the same guys won and the same guys lost, and it was absolutely terrible. The guys that lost every day, that they didn't have they didn't have much, I tell you, but they just had that bug.
Yeah. I know there was a lot of gambling there.
Oh, you'd see pots of $2,000 in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Okay. So, how long were you in Hawaii? Now, tell me a little bit about your ship. How big was your ship? Tell me how many men and
Let's see,
your
how many men?
firepower.
What did we have for firepower? We had depth charges. We had 4 20-millimeter guns, 1 twin 40, 3-inch 50, and rockets up and bow for subs, which was quite a bit of power for a small ship.
Yeah.
The ship was, PC was probably, 183 feet, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I think that's what I read. Yeah.
Yep. And
And how many men?
I think it was 80, somewhere around there. Yeah.
And how many were Coast Guardsmen? Or was it completely Coast Guard?
It was mostly Coast Guard. During the operations, we brought Marines and Navy guys, but they just stayed with us 3 or 4 days or 5 days, and then they got off. Yeah.
So, did you ever have any troops on board, or didn't you?
No,
not,
no.
You never had accommodations for troops.
No.
So even at EWO and that.
No.
Okay. You were just there for the firepower. Okay. How about the social side of things? You mentioned the drinking and the card games. And did you read military newspapers and like Stars and Stripes, or did your ship have a newspaper? And what was your reaction to the war coverage that you were reading about? How did you feel about that?
I had a friend who sent me the Hartford Times.
No kidding.
Yeah. And that went around the ship, you know.
Oh, wonderful.
And we read about the circus. Remember the circus?
Circus
The
Fire,
Fire.
44, right.
And I don't remember too much about it. I read just as much as I could. I learned quite a bit, you know. And the guys read all the news from the Hartford Times. But when I got it, sometimes I would get about 10 or 15 of the clip, you know.
Sure.
And it took me a while to catch up on
Do
everything.
you remember that fellow's name that sent him to you?
His name was Joe DiBaptista, and he was in the Army.
DiBaptista?
Battista.
Okay. That's very interesting. Reading the Hartford Current
Yeah.
Pacific. Yeah.
They had big pictures of that circus fire and whatnot.
yeah, it was
Well, really something.
Yes. So where were you? You're in the Pacific now. You've left Pearl, and where were you?
We're on our way with a convoy with troops, Marines, the 4th and 5th Division Marines, and we are going to invade. They didn't tell us where we were going until we were out at sea.
Okay.
And we were escorting these transports all the way to.
How big was your convoy? Do you remember?
Oh, heck, you could see miles of ships.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't remember having any subcontacts on the way going over there, but you'd feel sorry. You'd go by some of these convoys, or rather these troop ships, and you'd see some of these poor guys leaning over the side after they ate and get rid of everything,
Yeah,
I felt so sorry for them.
How about you? Did you ever get seasick?
Oh, sure.
You did?
Oh, yeah. When I went out to sea, three days, I was on graham crackers and yeah.
Yeah,
But I finally got over it. Yeah.
Yeah, they say that happens.
Yeah, in fact, some of the old salts, the old timers, they never get over it. Always get sick.
Well, I guess if the storm's big enough, it's certainly going to affect everybody.
These small ships, you really rock and roll. Yeah. In fact, we used to pull alongside an aircraft carrier for supplies, and we'd be bouncing around like mad, and these guys would look down at us, from, oh my God, and they would walk away, But we'd be up there kidding them, and we'd have a loaf of bread, rather some bread, and we'd be eating in front of them. They'd look down at us, But that was really a lot of. There's always something going on. Always a lot of kidding around and whatnot.
Well, my question here was going to be, where was your first baptism of fire? Where your first combat? But I guess you've already done some of that in the Atlantic, So now you're on your way to Iwo. Can you describe the convoy's trip to Iwo and
all I remember is that the Missouri was with us.
Okay.
And two other battle wagons and I don't remember the name of the other battle wagons and their cruisers with us. And they got there just before we did, and they just pounded the living daylights out of that island. And I remember the Missouri firing over our head as we were up off the coast of, about probably a mile or so off the coast of Iwo, and you'd see a yellow smoke, and you could hear that salvo go right over our head, and you could hear that sucker hit, and holy cow, what a crater you'd see going, oh my God,
Yeah.
But that was really something, yeah.
So how many days did the bombardment go on?
They must have been at it 3 days before we brought the landing, the Marines there, yeah. And then one morning we told her to get up at the line of departure, and we looked back and here the first and second waves are coming in, And our job was to if they need help, to help them out. If they're being bombarded by someone, or the mortars are dropping, and they give us our range, and we pump shells. And we were as close as 1,000 feet offshore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
In fact, I remember one morning a mortar hit, and two of us were standing. I don't know how I ever got out of this. I was just crap luck, eh? The mortar dropped between us, and the guy next to me got splattered, and I just got a little bit of shrapnel in my leg, and I don't know how I ever got out of that thing.
Did he survive?
Yeah, but he was all beat up. Holy cow. I said, holy cow.
Yeah.
I mean, you say to yourself, it just wasn't my number, but we were there for about Iwo for about 3 weeks or so, and when they needed help. There was on Mount Sabachi, they had an enormous tunnel there, and they were shooting down at us. So they sent us in to pepper the suckers out of there, And we were off there about 1,000 feet, just shot up at them, and they were shooting down at us.
And they were shooting at you.
Yeah. And when the first flag went up, all the horns went off, boop, 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 and we all, yeah. But I didn't really know much about the second flag or anything like that. You're busy and there's so much going on that you just haven't got too much. I understand we were involved in it though, but
Right.
you know, that's just about it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the Coast Guard supplied the second flag,
Yeah.
which was a larger flag, and that was the one that was shown in the famous Joe Rosenthal photograph.
But the sad part of it all was that the Japs had all their guns zeroed in on the beach, all their mortars, and they did absolutely nothing until the Marines landed. And when the second wave hits, holy cow, everything went off. And that whole beach was an absolute bloodbath. You know, you could see it. You know,
So
you
you
could-
were close enough to see
cripes.
that things weren't going well.
absolutely disgusting. And we helped them out, but you know, you can only shoot so close to them. You know, but it was really but inch by inch, as more waves come in, you know, they
Did you want to use this at all?
Oh, sure. We work with the 4th Marine Division, and we went in on a red beach. Beaches.
A little higher, Nick. Go on. There you go. Okay. Put it off to the side and talk.
Okay, this way.
Yeah.
We went in. The beaches were by colors. They named them by colors, and we went in. We brought them in on a red beach, which is right there. Yeah. And of course, Mount Sabachi was over here. Yeah.
Right.
But holy cow, Red Beach had an awful time. The 5th Marines went in under Mount Sabachi, and they really got clobbered there, you know, when they first went in. You know,
Yeah, I understand that the Japanese
yeah.
held off until the Marines were on
They
the
were
beach
something.
and
They were dug up all over and dug in all over. You know, you never know where they're going to come up, where a tunnel was going to come up, or what rock was going to be moved, and they were behind it, and it was really, really tough. I felt so sorry for those guys.
Now, was there air power? Were planes coming in?
Yes.
And
Yep.
Were they coming off carriers?
They were coming off carriers, Navy,
Okay.
yeah. But holy cow, I don't remember seeing any suicide planes on Iwo.
Yeah, that hadn't started yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it started in the Philippines. But,
in the Philippines.
yeah. So we were there 3 weeks helping out, doing what we can, evacuating and whatnot. Then we were sent down to Leyte in the Philippines. And we were getting ready to hit Okinawa.
Do you remember back to the raising of the flag and a very special photograph that it was, the most famous photograph of World War II? Do you remember when you first saw Joe Rosenthal's photograph, the final copy?
I don't think I seen it until I got back to the States.
Yeah, I guess I've heard that from veterans.
Yeah, we never seen anything.
So you were there when it happened,
Yeah.
but you didn't see it till.
Rosenthal got it in Iwo or Okinawa. You know, he got hit by. We'll go into that when we get to
Okay.
Okinawa. Yeah.
Yeah, Rosenthal. Okay,
Mhm.
but I know that it's just special that the Coast Guard was involved in the raising.
I know it. Everybody thought the Coast Guard was. They just hanged around the coast and whatnot. They did actually in some places, but they were on LSTs. They were on destroyers, and they did their part because they're all into the Navy. And the Navy took credit for it, but
Wow.
still we had that. Yeah.
I must admit, I guess I thought the Coast Guardmen walked the beach with
Yeah.
the flag and looked out to sea.
Yeah.
And the research I've done for this interview has gave me a whole new perspective on the Coast Guard's involvement. So.
But I don't regret joining the Coast Guard.
Yeah. Now, did you tell us way back when, at the beginning of the interview, why you chose the Coast Guard? Or?
Well, this friend of mine decided I was going to join the Navy. He said, "Let's try the Coast Guard."
Yeah.
We joined the Coast Guard. Yeah. But as I say, I don't regret it. It was a good experience.
Okay, so you're heading down to Leyte, and
We were down Leyte, and we were getting ready to hit Okinawa. And we were down there with the Marines and the Navy, or the Army. On Okinawa, the Army invaded the southern part, and the Marines invaded the northern part. And so April 1st, we invaded Okinawa. And we worked with we worked with the Army on the southern part. And we landed them, and they didn't have any resistance at all.
Might want to hold that.
Yeah. Let's see. I guess it was down here. Down in here.
Okay, yeah.
We worked with the Army in the southern part, and they didn't get any resistance at all when they landed until they got in the father. And then they had their problems, you know, but the Japs let them land. It wasn't like Okinawa, you know. I mean, you know, as soon as the Marines landed on Okinawa, they got clobbered, you know. But as I say, they all got ashore pretty easily, like, yeah. And
well, it says here, the reading I've done says it was the largest operation of the Pacific War.
Oh, it was. There was. When we left Lady, we had a convoy. I've never seen it that big. I mean, there were hundreds of ships.
Well, it says here in late March 1945, nearly 1,300 ships began the largest operation of the Pacific War. So that's a lot of boats. Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, I tell you. So they didn't have any resistance going. Not with the Army. I don't know what the Marines, how they laid out up the upper part of the island. But they didn't waste too much time in sending, and we were being bothered by suicide planes.
Yeah, that's my next question. It says the Japanese assembled 120,000 troops.
Yeah.
But they also prepared with suicide training for hundreds of aircraft, small boats, and human torpedoes. So can you tell us about that?
Well, they had suicide boats. In fact, we were on the outer screen, but we were patrolling off Japan, you know, to stop these suicide planes from coming in. They just soon lose a small ship than they would, a larger ship, you know, and hospital ships and battle wagons and everything. So we were out there for days, and our charges. You got two chargers, generators on the ship. That's what I want to say. And ours weren't working right. Usually when one generator's down, they work on the other. And we were having problems with it. So a lot of ships had to anchor out. You know, you didn't have a harbor to walk into or rather to sail into. And we were about 3 miles out at sea, and we dropped our anchor, and we were working on the generators. And this was at nighttime. And all of a sudden we heard three looked on back aft, or rather, or off our depth charge or our stern, and we could see these 3 boats coming at us. You know, these were 3 suicide boats, and so we had to get our generators going so we could get our guns broadside. They were coming back. They were coming dead aft. You know, so they knew they had to. They knew that to come dead aft, they'd probably get us. So we finally got it going, and I think the last one these 20 millimeters got them about probably 1,000 feet offshore. One blew. That's the last one, yeah, and they were loaded with explosives. Holy cow! I mean, when they hit, wow, everything went up. You know, we got the spray and everything from it. But boy, we were lucky. And they were going for our stern, which is, we have ash cans, or rather depth charges. And, you know, it's 300 pounds of TNT in each depth charge. And we would have gone sky, I'd still be flying. And we had something like 75 aboard, somewhere around there.
What were these suicide boats? How many people were on them?
There was just one
guy.
Yeah.
And were they?
And it was about a 14 or 16 footer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Packed with explosives.
Yeah, you know, right up in the bow. So they also had suicide swimmers.
I understand that.
So that, you know, all the ships. Well, no, we heard a lot about them, and one transport got hit out there. So everyone had to anchor out, you know, and everything was brought in by these Higgins boats, you know, these supplies and the supplies and the evacuees and everything.
And
so we were somewhere around there 2.5, 3 months patrolling off of Japan, and and we've seen an awful lot of destroyers and ships get hit. They would come right out of the sun, and every morning, in the nighttime, right out of just before the sun sets. And holy cow, they would come at you. And I think I seen one destroyer, get hit by 5, and all hands, And Lord, there 300 and some odd men on a destroyer, on a DE, And I read that when we got back, that 52 ships were lost off of Japan by stopping these suicide planes.
Wow.
And that's an awful lot of men going down. And holy cow, you say to yourself, "Well, how lucky were we?" But
as you say, they were going after the larger ships
yeah,
to make.
Some of them got hit. Yeah. And but they just wanted the big ships, and and the transports. That's where all the damage was, the transports and the aircraft carriers. And
so, how far off Japan were you?
We never seen land.
Close.
Yeah,
okay,
we were probably about 3 or 4 miles off of Okinawa.
Okay.
Yeah, and our job was to just soon as we got just soon as we excuse me. Just soon as we got contact on the radar, would radio right into the shore, and here they come, and our job was to stop them. Yeah. We did our best to stop them. Yeah. But holy cow, they come in thought. Sometimes if it's 8, 9, 10, and they just pick your spots and boom, and they're all loaded with bombs,
They weren't really diving on you. They were looking for the bigger ships. But you were making an attempt to stop them from continuing.
Well, they would go for us too. We had a lot of misses.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Can you describe one of those?
One was coming right at us, and the 20 millimeter it got a direct hit, and the wing broke off, and the other part of the ship, the airplane, took off the other direction. Disintegrated, in other words. And the part of the wing hit our bow, and he was headed right for us. And they always went for your midships,
Sure.
That's where all the damage was, yeah.
Now, were you assigned to a gun? Were you shooting?
Yeah,
him?
I was on the other side, though. Yeah.
Okay, from that incident, yeah.
But
Wow.
a lot of good men just never made it back because terrible.
So then what? You're off Japan, and now we're into August-ish of that 45. And were you aware of the preparation for an atomic bomb? And
No, we didn't know nothing about it.
You didn't know anything about it, but
They sent us down after Okinawa. They sent us down to Luzon, and then we were getting ready to invade. And gee, I don't know. Let's see. About 15 of us said, "Do you want to go home on a 30-day leave?" And so, of course, we jumped at that. Yeah. And I went home and had a beautiful 30-day leave. And when I was home, the bomb went off.
So you came home from the Pacific.
Yeah.
And, well, tell me about that. That's awesome. A 30-day leave after that horrible time. And,
and we had a wonderful time. Good old West Hartford. Holy cow.
So tell me, you came home from the Pacific. How long a trip was that, and what was that like?
We come home on a transport. We come home with the 1st Cavalry.
Yeah.
The 1st Cavalry was over in Leyte in those islands. They were over in the islands there for about 3 years or so. And they were in tough shape. Oh, I felt so sorry. Some of them had elephantitis. You probably heard about that. And they had all kinds of skin disease and whatnot. So we pulled into San Francisco, and I bought a ticket to home, Bought a ticket to West.
August of 45, maybe?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And my leave was up, and I had all ready to go back to. I guess they were going to put me on another ship. That's what I hear. And then the bomb went off, and of course, all leaves were canceled right there, and everything was canceled right there. And they discharge you on points. The married guys got off first. Us single guys, they kept us there.
I see.
And I was stationed in San Francisco in a separation center there. And I was there until March, where I got discharged, and I had a racket. I was checking guys in and out, and as they came in, and guys went on leave and whatnot. That was really a racket. I had a good time doing that.
Yeah.
And but I'm glad I made good old West Hartford. Yeah.
What was your reaction to the atomic bomb?
Oh gosh, you know, a lot of people say to you, "Why do they have to kill all those people?" You know, but holy cow! Thank goodness for good old Mr. Truman. He was something else. He was a lot of man. I wish we had him right now. You know.
I'm with you.
I remember there's an incident that some reporter said about his daughter. Wasn't she an opera singer?
Yes, she was. Or piano with
They made a remark of and he was going to go over and punch that sucker.
Yeah.
He was all man.
Yeah.
But I wish we had a man like him.
Yeah.
But anyway, all I know is that we were told that when they went into Japan by some of the fellas over there, that they were ready for us. You're going to have to be fighting the farmer, his daughter, his wife, and everything else. In fact, they told us that in Luzon when we were, getting ready. And it would have been one big bloodbath, and everything was suicide. I mean, they were out to, and it would have been a 10-year war, and just imagine how many Americans would have been lost.
It would have been horrible.
Yeah.
So the atomic bomb, the first one and the second one were.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness for the good old atomic bomb.
Right. So where were you when the war ended?
I was in.
And what was your reaction there?
I was in San Francisco. Oh, we felt great.
Yeah.
Well, we know we're going home, So I got discharged in San Francisco, and they had to pay me for where I enlisted. So much a mile.
Yeah.
I think I walked off with $165, and I hitchhiked all the way across.
Oh, wonderful!
Oh man, I tell you.
You weren't going to spend your travel money.
No, I spent some of it home.
Yeah.
I worked my way across and had a ball. Oh God!
Now, were you doing this alone? Were you
Friends? I was with one guy for a while until we got to North Platte, Nebraska.
Yeah.
And he almost got married there. I said, "Jesus, don't do a thing like that."
What was his name?
God, let me think now.
No,
I forgot.
Okay.
He was really quite a character. He was from Wisconsin.
Now,
anyway,
were you doing this in uniform because you're discharged, but you're still traveling?
We had our discharge thing.
I guess
on
that helps get a ride if you're hitchhiking, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We had a ball. But I made the East Coast. It took an awful long time to settle down.
So tell me about being home. What was there?
So anyway,
Hartford welcome you and everything.
No, they didn't welcome us. I went back to school. And then I don't know what, I became a milkman, and I had a ball being a milkman, going up and down stairs, getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Who'd you work for? You work for A.C. Peterson in West
No,
Hartford?
I worked for Maple Hill Dairy.
Maple Hill, okay, yeah.
And then I went into construction. But
did you maintain contact with any other veterans?
Just one of the guys. This fellow was from Texas, and his favorite slogan was "I'm from Texas, where men and women are proud of." And he was married. And got 4 or 5 kids, and he was quite a guy. He had kidney disease. The last I heard from about a year ago, he probably passed away by now. We're the only guys that kept in touch,
From the ship.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but holy cow, he was quite a guy. he called quite a bit, and we talked quite a bit about old times and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the young guys didn't give a darn, but it's the older guys. The guys who are 25, 30, or 35 who had families, they didn't raise Hecker, or just didn't give a darn like they just really cared about themselves as far as us young guys,
Yeah.
But it really made a difference being married and having a family, yeah.
How about marriage for you? When did that happen?
Oh, gosh.
How did that go?
I think I got married, and after I was home, I got married when I was 26 years old to a wonderful girl on a blind date up in Brewster, Massachusetts, Cape Cod.
Yeah, I was there last weekend. Yeah.
Were you?
Yeah.
She was a great girl. We had 51 years of marriage. We had 3 youngsters. We lost one due to leukemia. And one's an engineer for the light company. The other is going to retire from the state of Connecticut,
How did you meet her, Nick? Where did you meet your Brewster bride?
This fellow of mine was in a National Guard, and he had to go up there some air training. Didn't he? I think they had an air field up there or something.
There's a base on Cape Cod.
So I went up with him a couple of times, and he fixed us up with this lady, or this one that I married. Her name was Pearl Mosier. And we had a ball, and hey, before I know it,
You're married, and
I'm married. Yeah, she was great. She worked and I worked, and we had a lot of good times. Took a lot of trips. And then I became a ski instructor for a while. Did a lot of skiing.
Where's that, Nick? Where were you?
Ski Sundown.
Okay, yeah, you probably we probably crossed paths. I used to ski there.
Did you really?
Yeah, sure, that's great.
Yeah. Were you? Did you work up there?
No, I was just
yeah.
falling down skier is what I was.
Oh, heck.
I should have had some lessons, but
yeah.
But
and I did a lot of ball playing. I played a lot of ball. Wrecked both of my knees. Had 5 knee operations, 2 replacements. God, yeah. I'm all beat up.
Now, how about these wonderful pictures here on the wall that I'll record later? But these are the Iwo Jima survivors. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved with that group and what the years have been like with these people? And
I think I joined it formed in 1989, I think. And I joined in 1991. A friend said, hey, you're an Iwo Jima survivor, why don't you join? And this George Gentile, he's a doctor, dentist, he started it. He was a chartered member. And so we had a lot of good times. We did a lot of marching. We raised money for that statue on Route 9 there,
Yeah.
We $250,000, I guess, we raised. And we went around and tapping everybody. And but holy cow, we still need money. We're having an awful time with money over there right now. We got that internal flame, which is running about $80 a month, and we're slowly running out of money. Yeah, and you have to keep it electricity and whatnot. But there are a lot of them are holy cow. Whenever we have meetings now, there's only about 20 of us, as opposed to 60, 70, 80, 90, guys. Yeah.
So where are some of the places that you've had your meetings? You mentioned Pearl Harbor.
We used to meet at the Naval Marine training base in Plainville, and we used to meet once a month. I was on the board of directors once a month, and we always had good meetings. Always had a lot of dickering to do, but we always got the job done. And let's see. As I say, we hitchhiked across. I hitchhiked across. I left my friend here in North Platte, Nebraska, and I took a train and I hitchhiked, and I think it took me like 2 months to make East Coast, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But I really had a ball.
You said you worked on a ranch?
Yeah.
And how long was that, and what were you doing there as a Coast Guard?
I was helping them shovel,
Yeah, there's a lot of
clean out the van.
Yeah.
But And they were great. They're nice people. Fed me real well, and I said, I got to move on after a while.
How long did you stay?
I think I stayed there about a week and a half or so.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Gee, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of wonderful people. Holy cow.
It was a pretty special time, I think.
Yeah,
The war was.
Everyone looked up at you.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
And that had to make you feel good
Yeah.
and proud of what you've done. It's So now back to these reunions. As I say, I'm looking on the wall there. That one of you guys standing on the deck of the Missouri with those big guns over your head. Can you tell us about that Pearl Harbor reunion that you had?
We had a reunion. This was about three or 4 years ago. It was three years ago. I think something like 25 of us left. And the Marines had a station out there. First of all, getting into something else here.
Okay.
The Marines bought our casing for our statue. When you make a statue, I guess there's casings that. So they were going to have a statue just like ours out in Pearl Harbor, on the outskirts of Pearl Harbor, and they bought ours. I think we gave them a good price on it. So when they christened it, they invited all us guys out there.
So there's a duplicate of this statue in Newington
on a Marine
Pearl
base.
Harbor
Yeah,
Marine casting that you guys.
Not in Pearl Harbor. It's a naval base on the outside of Pearl Harbor. And God, they treat us like $1 million. Holy cow! And the same exact statue, and they used our cast.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how much we sold it to them for. I remember just Dr. George Gentile took care of that. So somewhere around there, 25 of us went out there. God, they picked us up at Pearl Harbor in a bus. And hey, I remember one thing.
Sure.
On the way coming back, we had they treat us like $1 million. We got all that we wanted to drink and food and everything else. And whenever we had this Marine bus and he was driving, there was always a nurse that sat in the back, and 2 Marines and this Marine nurse. And so I said, what is she doing back there, And she's got a bag. So I went back there and I asked her, I said, well, she says, I'm a nurse in case any of you fellas have a heart attack or anything. I said, what? we all went bananas. Holy cow.
Yeah.
And we were singing and raising heck all the way back. And just in case any of you guys have a heart attack. Boy, that made my day right there, I tell you.
That's great. Now, were these all Connecticut fellas or New England? These?
No, it's New England guys, yeah.
Let me see, 20?
About 25 of us went over, yeah.
That was, so you hadn't been back to Pearl Harbor since 45, right?
Right.
So this was very special for you, right?
Yep. Well, had a ball.
Yeah.
We got a real good price, and so we all left. But as I say, these Marines treat us like $1 million. They all come over and shake our hands, and I guess we gave them souvenirs, and I guess they heard about us survivors being, the whole island knew about it. And everywhere we went, they came and shaked our hands, Iwo Jima survivors. And it was really something, quite a thrill, But anyway, you probably see pictures of us right back here. Just marching, a flag.
Oh, yeah.
That was in Hartford.
Yes, I'm going to take a picture of that.
We did that. We did a lot of marching in different towns every summer. Probably about 6 or 7 Sundays out of the summer. And they gave us money when we went march to keep up our statue, on Route 7 there. Yeah. We all got together and we had a ball, and he always gave us a couple of $100 and whatnot, and keeping up the maintenance over there, it got kind of steep like. We're trying to make the state take over to maintain everything, but they're going through a lot of Blumenthal's working on that right now.
Well, he's the right guy in the case.
Yeah, they're a nice guy.
I certainly hope that.
Every time I see him, when are you going to run in for president? When are you going to run in for governor? And he's, oh, I don't know.
But whenever there was a parade, they would invite you guys, and you'd carry this flag and this.
Yeah.
You know, how many are you there? Well, it looks like 10 of you, maybe or so, in that picture. 3, 6, 9. Yeah.
That was in Hartford.
Yeah.
Yeah. That flag was a 20 by 15, somewhere around there. And we had hooks. We had grommets on the end, hooks to hang on to it. On a windy day, we had our problems.
Oh,
but
I'll bet.
yeah,
That's like a big sail.
But this one was going up. Gosh, I think it was going up Salem Avenue. You know, and on Veterans Day or something. But we had a ball. We got together about probably 7 or 8, quite a few Sundays, and these different parades, and they always had hot dogs and a beer or so and whatnot. And I always had a good time. Yeah.
Well, that statue is very special.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Your group gets some support to maintain it and keep it going. It's a matter of fact, I thought about doing this interview out at that statue, but the snow came. So
gets cold out there.
Yeah, I know, but it's. Now, how about awards or decorations from the war? And I don't want to embarrass you with that, but I guess did you receive anything that you...
We had a commendation for shooting down suicide planes.
Okay. And what was that? How was that defined? You were just...
They just gave us a ribbon and...
So okay.
Yeah. And that's just about it, I guess. We had... a lot of ships did an awful lot, and they never got just a pin, an accommodation pin. That's just about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess that's it. Getting these suicide boats was a big help. As I say, this was at nighttime, and we couldn't see very well, and the other ships were shooting illumination shells. I'm sorry. As the shell had got straight up in the air and then it sparkles all the way down, you could see what was going on. Yeah. And that probably saved our butt too that night. But as I say, a lot of ships went down. Terrible, absolutely terrible.
Well, that was so. And what was your highest rank when you left? Were you
gunner's mate first class?
Gunner's mate first class. Okay. So, what should people know today that you went through without sounding like a politician? I guess I'd like you to tell me about, what we shouldn't forget what happened in those 5 years, and how do you feel about your experience?
Wars are hell, absolutely hell. You just don't get that out of your system, Right. But holy cow, I just hope that it sort of seems so that we all could shake each other's hand and say, look, peace with everybody, and but I think if a person went through war and maybe did think twice about starting a war, I think we're in a mess right now that we made a bad decision there somewhere, and there's a lot of wonderful men paying for it. And I feel so sorry for these fellas that are being drafted right now, or not being drafted, or in the National Guard. They got families, and they got kids, and holy cow, the husband goes away for a year or so, and he's got to pay for everything, and I feel so sorry for those guys. And some don't come back, it ain't easy. And I think we could have got out of that mess.
Well, Nick?
But I guess there'll always be a war,
You were there and you did your job, and it's so nice that you maintained a friendship with those fellows that were, I think it was a different time. It was a different time, and
things were really different back there. A man's handshake was a handshake.
Absolutely.
But now, what's a handshake nowadays?
Right.
And everything is lawsuit,
Your description of walking down Asylum Avenue and having people cheer
on. Oh, that was... I almost
great.
Cried. All of us did.
Oh, that
Christ, that was something.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Nick.
Yeah, my
It was a
pleasure.
pleasure and a great honor to interview you.
Oh, I don't know about that. I just
No, it was. I'm going to hold up this our sign once more here, so we close. You can hold that up a little.
this way.
Yeah. Go over a little to the right. There you go. The other way. Not the other way, Nick. There you go. Perfect. Now, if you just take a second and turn that around, this is the ship that Nick talked about, and all the action that it saw, and how it almost got pulverized by a suicide boat, but thanks to those guys on the guns, it didn't. So, again, I want to thank Nick Greci for his time, and with that, I say thank you.